Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the BuzzStream podcast. My name is Vince Nero. I'm your host, and today I'm thrilled to share some kind of breaking news with you all. Here with Brett Farmiloe. He's the CEO of Featured.com, and Brett has a really exciting announcement to make.
We've acquired Help a Reporter Out, HARO from Cision, and we are bringing it back. So yeah, it's been a very exciting day here in Scottsdale. It's been met with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of people who have missed the platform. For anyone who followed Help a Reporter Out, I was launched in around 2008. It was acquired by Vocus in 2010. Vocus merged with Cision in 2014. And in April 24, Cision decided to rebrand it to Connectively. And then in December of 24, they decided to discontinue Connectively. And here we are. That's April 15th, 2025. And it's officially back. Our first email from Help Reporter Out will go out April 22nd. And if you go to helpareporter.com today, you can sign up and submit a query. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is really awesome. I know a lot of hearts were broken when Connectively finally closed their doors, but I think the general consensus was that the overall kind of quality of the requests and the platform and everything seemed to have gone downhill since it was sold, I guess, back in the day. I'm going to jump around here. I prepped you, Brett, a little bit with a couple questions I wanted to ask, but let's get the big one out of the way in the beginning. You know, what is going to make this go around better? Why did you buy HARO? What are you going to do to revamp this image?
Yeah, I think at the core of it, there's magic still to be had in Help Reporter Out. That's plain and simple. I think the fundamental belief that led us to pursue the acquisition and move forward on it. I think that magic has been realized for me personally over many years of running Featured.com. I'll describe what we do as Featured as a platform, which we're connecting subject matter experts with publishers to create some really high quality content. And with that pitch, inevitably someone gets a look in their eye and they get the nostalgic experience coming back to them. And they're like, oh, like that thing. And I'm like, Help Reporter Out. And they're like, yeah, like that. So I think that, and even now it's been discontinued for several months, actually like a whole year. And people still will bring up Help Reporter Out to describe the process of connecting with a journalist to get featured in the media. And so that's why I believe there's still magic to be had in the platform. With that said, there's obvious things that started to plague the platform, which may or may not have led to the discontinuation of it from Cision's end. I think that we're aware of some of those shortcomings and we're excited to jump into it. And I think that we've got a multi-year head start on it because we've had to face those things through Featured. We've had to face fake personas. We've had to face AI generated pitches. We've had to face all the different things that are surfacing, especially recently in the media. I think that there's quite a few stories that have started and publications that have had to retract stories because they've featured people who aren't actual people. So I think that that's a challenge that we're well equipped to tackle.
Yeah, for people not following along, I think it was last week actually. So again, we're recording this April 15th. So it was like April 8th or something. A report came out from the Press Gazette talking about how, I think it was at the Independent. Does that sound right, Brett?
Yeah, I know that they did their own study. They published a couple different articles about this, but basically it was like fake experts that were duping journalists.
Yeah. So obviously that's a big problem. I think you mentioned the other big one being people just creating AI text and pushing that as expert quotes. So yeah, let's dig into a little bit. I don't know if you have any details that you're able to share at this point, but I'd love to know what you're doing to help keep those fake people off the platform, the
Yeah.
fake personas.
Yeah, I could talk a little bit about it. From a high level, I think it's a shared responsibility. I think it's a shared responsibility of a platform like ours and the actual journalist or reporter that's going to feature a source on a story. And the hardship, the challenge with it is that a reporter is in a kind of a do more with less type of environment. And so sourcing an expert from a platform like ours and having to verify that source is just an extra step that in an ideal world they wouldn't have to do, and they could just put that responsibility entirely on a platform. I think that is a perfect world, and I don't think it's a perfect world, especially as we're seeing the AI era rise. So I think that it is a shared responsibility from a high level. From with that said, a platform like ours, this is the top priority that we've got to focus on. I think that it's a combination of using AI tools to combat AI. You could do that by detecting AI text. We use some different AI image verification tools to essentially see if a headshot is an AI image generator, which is helpful. There's certain other requirements, like for example, on Featured, you have to sign up with a LinkedIn URL. So it's relying on their resources to essentially to detect if a profile doesn't exist on LinkedIn, then a profile shouldn't exist from an expert verification. And then last thing is just giving your community the tools to report and combat that. So I think that there's a variety of different things using AI tools, using external sources, community policing tools, and then just monitoring the community and having a really strict zero tolerance on it. I think that's going to be our main mentality jumping into HARO is if you do anything that does not help a reporter out, you will be banned from the platform like forever. And we have other technology that's going to prevent you from just hopping from an email to another email. So our work's cut out. But I think that the purpose of restoring the platform is a purpose that's worth pursuing.
Yeah, and like you said, Brett, I feel like you guys do a good job on feature.com of curating the list there, and like you have a head start, you know the challenges that you're facing. It's not like you're coming into this out of nowhere. And maybe that was the case with Connectively, and to me, it just seemed like they didn't prioritize it. They have been eating up a bunch of smaller platforms just for kind of market share worth and just didn't prioritize it. So that's great to hear, man. I don't know if you know this, but like we also had Peter Shankman on to talk about Source of Sources when he relaunched it. So I'd love to hear your thought on, are you differentiating yourself? Is this just like another tool that PRs can have in their toolkit? How do you see yourself against the OG, as it were, Peter Shankman's Source of Sources now?
Yeah, I have tremendous respect for Peter and love what he's done in terms of identifying the absence of a product that has product market fit with both sides of the marketplace. And I think that's the beauty of what Help a Reporter Out was in its existence, was the fact that it was a simple email newsletter that very simply connected a journalist with a source so that you could create an incredible story. I think the thing that makes HARO special is the fact that it has the brand. It's how people literally just describe what that process is of connection. And so we've seen it just like today of flick and switch, bringing the website back online and the interest on both sides. Because, and funny story with it, when we were testing this out, we didn't announce anything. We just flipped the switch on helpreporter.com on Friday afternoon just to test whether or not we were going to be able to do this. And within 2 minutes, there was like 15 people who had signed up. And this website
Just
hadn't
like
been,
branded traffic.
yeah, this website
Yeah.
hadn't been live in well over a year. And on a Friday afternoon, somehow 15 people had found this and just started signing up through referral traffic, through organic searches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so we brought the site down and then didn't want it to get out over the weekend until we could have had a proper announcement today. So I think that the strength is really just the brand. If you look at any kind of competing platforms that are out there, sometimes you will Google Help Reporter Out or HARO, and you'll see those competing platforms position themselves as an alternative to HARO. And that's with HARO not even having existed over the last year. So it's very much a word that people use to describe this process. And so I think that's the differentiation. It's just where people seek it out. And we've seen a network effect. The more sources that you have and the more publications that you have, the stronger the platform is. And so I think that that's really the competitive advantage here, is just recognition that's been established over almost 2 decades.
Yeah, 100%. HARO is what tissue is to Kleenex or vice versa. Like it's definitely synonymous with kind of this expert commentary, journal request, that sort of thing. I do have a specific question, and this might be obvious for some people, but is HARO right now only US based, or is it for international?
Yeah, so it's always been a global audience. We intend to just revive what existed before. And I think that's the right strategy for this. Primarily US based, but it's huge in the UK, it's huge in Australia. I think that there's 15 other countries that this is one of the premier platforms to turn to for media requests. So our intent is to move it beyond just the US.
Yeah, and for people new to HARO, can you just give a sense of, let's say, putting featured versus HARO, like how they compare, like why would one person want to use featured versus HARO?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that what we've learned through featured and operating that platform over multiple years, it's really easy to submit. I think it's more highly technical. It's an actual platform that you would go to where Help a Reporter Out is an email newsletter service that allows you to connect directly with the journalist, work that out via email, and then work towards that feature in a publication. What featured does is journalists and publications will ask a question. We'll invite vetted experts to answer that question. You'll submit your answer and then you'll get featured. And there's no connection that happens with that platform. It's entirely based off of who you are, what your job title is, how qualified your expertise is, and how helpful that is to the actual publication. And so publications look to featured as a way to source free, high quality content. I think with Help a Reporter Out, you're seeing journalists that are sourcing experts, and it's sourcing a connection, which is really where that magic happens. That's the thing that HARO was the best at, was connecting a journalist with anyone in the world so that you could get a unique insight. And so I think that it requires just a little bit more work on both sides. And the vehicle is that email newsletter platform to do that. Whereas I think Featured has done an exceptional job at making that really easy for both sides to get what they need and just to move on.
Yeah. And then one other question specific to HARO here would just be the types of sites that you see, types of people that asking for expert commentary. Do you see it leaning any specific industry or type of site? Is it news? Is it breaking news, fashion, travel, that sort of thing? Are there any other specifics you can lean into there?
I think the problem that HARO solves for a lot of reporters and journalists is the immediate need to get connected with someone right now, like in 10 minutes or less. And so I think that the type of journalists that you're going to see using HARO typically falls within different industries. So definitely there's business, there's technology, there's finance, there's lifestyle, there's healthcare, and then pretty much a general category that's a catch-all. So when a journalist goes to helpreporter.com and submits a query, they could submit the category and then put that into the category for the newsletter. So I think that the demand and the type of publications that have traditionally used HARO, the list is very extensive. It's every single noteworthy publication that you can imagine going. I know that some newsrooms have some different restrictions on which tools they can and can't use, but I think almost every outlet on the planet has used Help Reporter Out at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. Brett, this is really exciting. Helpareporterout.com, helpareporter.com.
Yeah. Or if you go to helpreporterout.com, it'll redirect.
It'll redirect you. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate you stepping on here. I know it's last minute. We decided to do this podcast, so I'm learning this information as we talk here. But I strongly urge everybody to go check it out and sign up. And if you have feedback for Brett, I'm sure Brett would be more than happy to hear it. He's on LinkedIn. He's very communicative. I chatted with him, emailed with him. Highly recommend connecting there. I'm sure he's open to the feedback.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for the opportunity to get on. I would echo that sentiment. I think that the goal here is to revive the original version. And then the real journey is how do we improve it? And the only way that we're going to improve it is by hearing feedback, hearing about like the good, the bad, the ugly. And so there's no detail too small to share so that we can really improve this and move journalism and PR forward.
Yeah, we are in very interesting times. So any tools that we can get like this, I think it's going to be a great addition for digital PRs, link builders, content creators, all that. Brad, appreciate you guys revamping this. And like I said, I appreciate you coming on. Look for Brett on LinkedIn. That's probably the best place to reach him. Is that right, Brett?
Yeah. Either that or Brett@featured.com.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for listening. Just a reminder, like, subscribe, and like I said, leave comments in the YouTube, that kind of stuff I can relay directly to Brett and make sure that we get any questions answered and future requests, that sort of good stuff. So thanks again, Brett, and thanks again for everyone listening.
Awesome. Thanks.